All right, so this was today's lesson. We writing equations from a word problem, then solving them to get the answer, okay? So the question was, you are the owner of the biggest and newest roller coaster called the Gentle Giant, and it costs $6 per ride. Okay, let me underline the information we're gonna use, $6 per ride. The operator of the ride must pay $200 for ride rental. Okay, so let's call this person Omar. Omar job is he runs a ride, let's say at Great Adventure, and he charges each person $6 that goes on the ride. But Omar doesn't own the ride. He rents the ride for $200. Okay, he wants to make $1,000. How many people have to go on the ride for him to make $1,000? Okay, so we're gonna write an equation. So to write an equation, put your equal sign, and there are going to be two expressions, two things on each side. Usually the right side, we just put the total, okay? And in this case, the total amount of money he wants to make is $1,000 that goes here, okay? He is going to charge $6 per ride, $6 per ride. And remember when we did expressions, $6 per ride. How did we write the expression? They want us to use P to represent a person. So if it's $6 per person, 6 per person, per, whenever you see that, is multiplication. So it's going to be 6 times P, or 6P. So here is going to be 6P, $6 per person. That's the expression that you're going to use, or he's going to use, to figure out how much money he's making. You could try the expression. If it's 6P, 6 per person, if one person goes on the ride, it would be 6 times 1, he pays $6. If two people go on the ride, it'd be 6 times 2, and it would be $12. If three people go on a ride, 6 times 3, and it'll be $18. So this expression works. So 6P is the correct expression to figure out how much money Omar is going to make each time a person takes a ride. Now, the only last thing here we're going to deal with is this 200. Well, he has to pay that for the rental of the ride. So this is his money, the money he makes, money that he makes. Well, he has to subtract from that the $200, which he has to pay for the rental. So money made by Omar minus the rental. And we want to know when will he make $1,000. So that's the equation. So the equation is 6P minus 200 equals to 1,000. And we're going to solve this equation like we've been doing equations, okay? All right, so let me clear everything. We're going to do it on the right side. So the equation is 6P minus the 200 for the rental. And we want to know when is he going to reach $1,000, okay? So this is just a two-step equation, which we have been doing for the last few days. There are two things around the variable P. There is the times 6, and there is the minus 20. We want to isolate P. We want the P to be all by itself down here. So we have to do our two steps. Step 1, let's get rid of that minus 200. Step 2, let's get rid of that times 6, okay? So two-step equation, minus 200, we do plus 200, the opposite, inverse operation. And no thinking on the left side, we just cancel it, it's gone. What you left with on the left side? The 6P equal, and 1,000 minus 200, I'm sorry, 1,000 plus 200 gives you 1,200. So you got rid of the negative 200. You need to get rid of that times 6, and you will have the variable by itself. Okay, so the opposite of multiplying by 6, here the P is being multiplied by 6. The opposite of that, the inverse operation, is dividing by 6. Keep in mind, equations, whatever you do on the left, you do exactly the same thing on the right. On the left side, there is no thinking. Cancel. That's why you're doing all of this, to get rid of that 6. And on the right side, what's 1200 divided by 6? Well, that gives you 200, okay? So what does that P equal 200 mean? What does it represent? It means for him to make $1,000, 200 people have to go on the ride, for him to make $1,000. Okay, so that was question 1 we did today. The second question, let me put that on. All right, so the second question here, it's similar to the first one. It says a youth summer camp has budgeted $2,000 for the campers to attend the carnival. The cost for each camper, again, the cost for each camper is $17.95. The youth summer camp must also pay $250 for chaperones and $350 for transportation. What is the number of campers who can attend the carnival if the camp must stay within its budgeted amount? Right? And solve an equation. Okay, so let's look at the information we're given. The total amount of money they have is $2,000. That's how much money they got. It costs $17.95 each camper, $17.95 each person, each camper. Let's use C for camper. The first letter of the word camper, let's use that as the variable, C for camper. So each camper pays $17.95. They also have to pay, first they have to pay this for the campers. Now they have to pay $250 for the chaperones. A chaperone is a grown-up, an adult that goes along on a trip. Just like when we take school trips, teachers are chaperones. They are the adults chaperoning the students during a trip. So $250 for the chaperones and $350 they paying for the bus, the yellow bus, whatever transportation they're using to go on the trip, okay? So we're gonna write an equation, solve it to see how many people can go on the trip, how many students, how many campers can go on the trip if they have $22,000 to spend. So the way we did the first equation, we'll write the equal sign, and it's gonna be 2 expressions on each side. This one usually is pretty easy. It's just the total amount of money or time, whatever the question is about. Here, the total amount of money they have is $2,000, so that's gonna go here. And here is gonna be what we're gonna do the math to figure out how many campers can go on the trip, okay? So since it's $17.95 each camper, that's just like the previous example. It's $17.95 times C. This is gonna be used to figure out how much they are going to pay depending on how many campers. So they have to pay for this, and they also have to pay for this and this, okay? So we have to add them. So they have to pay $250 more for the chaperones, and they're gonna have to pay $350 for the bus. So this is what they have to pay, and they want that to be less or equal than $2,000. So they have $2,000 to spend, okay? So the equation would be 17.95C plus 250 and 350 is 600. So I put these two together. 250 and 350 is 600. We want that to be $2,000 or less, okay? So let's see how many campers can go on the trip. So we got the equation. We just have to solve it now, okay? So the equation is 17.95 C plus 600. We want to see how many people can go on the trip based on that $2,000 that the school has. So let's solve this equation. Again, it's 2-step equation. Step 1, we get rid of that 600 plus 600. We got to get rid of it. Step 2, we got to get rid of that times 17.95, that multiplication by 17.95. So let's do the first step. Since it's plus 600, the inverse operation is minus 600, and that has to be done to both sides. Left side, we just cross. The reason we're doing it, because we're trying to get rid of it. So that's gone. What's left on the left side? Well, just the 17.95C And on the right side, we do 2000 by 600, it gives us 1400. Okay. Next step, we got to get rid of this multiplication by 1795. So that means we have to do division by that amount, 1795, both sides. On the left side, there is no thinking, it just cancels. So I'm left with C equals, and here it's going to be some number like this, 17.9 and some numbers. Okay, so 17.99, let's say. So that tells you how many campers. So how many campers can go? 77.99. Well, since you can't take 0.999 campers, you can't take a person and divide them into 0.99. It means they can only afford to take 77. They can't take 78 because this is less than 78. They don't have enough money. They short like a couple of pennies. So how many people can go? I'm sorry, how many campers, how many kids, how many students can go on the trip? They have enough money for 77, not 78. Okay. All right. Until the next lesson.